Hello everyone, welcome to Cards and Coffee. It is Wednesday at noon, like usual. We meet here for a quick card over our lunch hour. So this is intended to be a time where we can quickly make a card in 15 minutes or less. And today we are going to do some heat embossing. And now normally, I know I say this often, but normally I don't do stuff like this on our Cards and Coffee time because we're trying to make it quick and we're trying to get a card done in as little time as possible with the supplies that we have on hand. But today's card is really easy, and you're going to see that heat embossing is not hard and it is quick. And we're going to do that today. So the stamp sets we're going to use today are, I'm pulling out an oldie but goodie. I have not used this in a very long time, and I don't know why. It is called Ornate Thanks, has some really big thank you scripts, and then all of these sort of handwritten scripts, handwritten, of different reasons that you can combine with a thank you. So it could be thank you from the bottom of my heart, just wanted to say thanks, etc., etc. And so you can combine all of these really nicely together. So we're going to use that today. And I also wanted to take a chance or an opportunity to play with the Textures and Frames stamp set. So this is a Sale-A-Bration set that is only available until September the 30th. I'm just going to move this over a little bit here. Until September the 30th as a free choice with every $60 order. So this is one of the things that you can choose with your Sale-A-Bration order. I haven't had a chance to really play with it too much. There's just so much that you can get from Sale-A-Bration that it's hard to use it all in this short of amount of time for me when I'm trying to share it with all of you. So Textures and Frames is up today. All right, let's get started. So this is not a hard card at all. We need a piece of white cardstock that measures, I want to say 5.5 by 3.25. That is correct. And this is what we're going to stamp on today. So I am just going to use, oh, here we got it. This stamp here. So this is the stamp that I'm going to use, just this one here. And you can repeat the same idea with any of these other pieces. They make beautiful backgrounds in a really easy, quick time. All right, we are going to use a few different colors today. We've got Blushing Bride, I've got Pool Party, So Saffron, Night of Navy, and I kind of have these in an order sort of, and then we're going to use this other color that I have a little bit later. So let me open these up here. Now you're going to want to make sure that you have your cleaning pad with you. I have one of the chamois, and I'll pull that out quickly. That one's being a little sticky. And so if you notice here, what I do is at the top of my pad, I just give it a click and it just opens it up, and then you can flip it over like that. So it helps you not to get ink all over your hands. However, I have ink all over, but that's a whole nother reason. I have been busy getting ready for this Saturday for our World Card Making Day. And so I have spent a lot of time stamping the last couple days. So again, this is the chamois here. It fits into a regular clear stamp case. So if you have an old one, you can shove it in there, or you can also purchase these for a reasonable price in the annual catalog as well. So, and they get stained up like this, but they still clean and they don't, like this dirt doesn't transfer to your hands or to your stamps. And I like that you can pick it up and it's flexible. So if you've got things with little grooves in it, you can just kind of really get in there. So it works really well. Anyways, because we're alternating colors, I need to clean my stamp between each color. So I've done Blushing Bride, and we're literally going to just stamp these side by side and go across the center of our paper. Now I've got the So Saffron. And it does not need to be perfect. It doesn't matter if it lines up 100% accurately as you go across the page. They can touch or not touch, whatever you decide to do. Now we're going to go back to the beginning and we're going to repeat our pattern. This is like seriously elementary, people. Let's make a pattern. I'm really just drawn to uniformity. I like patterns. I like things in rows. So that's kind of my style a little bit. But I just think it's pleasing to the eye when things are organized and in order with maybe a little bit of a twist. All right, so we have got our pattern on here, and now we are going to, I can actually put away, you can see they don't line up exactly right, but they look amazing just like that. And you could use any colors that you want to coordinate with whatever card you're making. You could also put this along one edge and make it sort of well, you could turn it this way or this way. Put it along one edge and then put like a circle over top or whatever. There's just so many different things you could do with this. Another thing that you can do with these shapes is the kissing technique. So what that means is you would take some of these shapes, and let me show you here. Let me get a color that you can see. So if we've got the Night of Navy, I'm not going to do that on my card, but these are really nice. This one here, as well as this circle, work really well for the kissing technique. I just need another stamp to be able to kiss with. So let's see. Let's just use this little, I have my reindeer out. This is not exactly going to be a very good representation because this stamp is a lot smaller. But so for example, if you stamp ink onto these large surfaces and then you kiss it on another stamp like this, when you stamp, you've got that image onto this stamp that you've kissed. So let's just try that one time. You just stamp this, you kiss it on another stamp, and you do have to be a little careful because this one tends to move and smear because it's got wet ink on it. So that's all that there is. And so this looks really nice, like with, say if you had a flower or something and you wanted to do that, you could do that and then stamp that on your card. Anyways, that's the kissing technique, to be shown at another time. But I wanted to let you know, there's a lot of things you can do with this card. Now back to our card at hand. I am going to take gray granite. And I think I put away the stamp that I wanted to use. I did. So I'm going to use this one. Out of the same package, there's this splatter stamp. This one here. And we're going to use that in gray granite. So we're going to just randomly put this on our card like this at the top and rotate it around and maybe put it back down here. And then I'm going to stick it over here. We're going to just kind of randomly put it on our card like this. There's really no rhyme or reason. You could put as much or as little as you want. I'm going to stop with just that amount of gray granite on there. It just kind of, and this is really going to helps to kind of disguise the fact, well, it doesn't have really straight edges on the rectangles, but when you put sort of these splatters around the edges, it kind of takes away from the fact that it's in a really straight line and kind of gives it a little bit of interest and doesn't make it look like, oh, you've got things out of order. All right, let's do some heat embossing. So to heat emboss, you do need a few tools. So you need stamps, you need a Versamark ink pad, and you need embossing powder. I have silver embossing powder today, and this is silver Stampin' Emboss powder, and you can buy these. There's two different packages. One has more neutral colors in it. It has 3 different neutral colors in it, like white and black, and I'm not sure what the other one is. I can't remember. And then there's another one that has like the silver, gold, and bronze, the shiny metallic colors. And then you need a heat gun. So you can, this one is the old version of the Stampin' Up! One. I have had this for more than a decade. And it's still, excuse me, it's still going strong. So if you look in the annual catalog, you'll see the heat gun in there. It really is something that you need to purchase once and it will be with you forever. So even though it's probably not your everyday expense, like maybe cardstock, it is a one-time expense. So, all right, so I am going to stamp in Versamark right here in the middle of my word. So I'm just going to hold it down for a second just to get a nice little transfer, and also because I need to re-ink my Versamark pad. So I want to make sure I get a nice transfer on that. I've got a scrap of paper, and you can use any piece of paper that you have. I have just a piece of grid paper that I folded in half. You could just use the same, a piece of cardstock or printer paper, whatever you have on hand. And then I do it this way. Everyone has kind of their own method. I just dump right out of the container, and then I pour it into my little paper here. Give it a little flick with my finger. And then I'm going to kind of just look for stray silvers here. But you could also use a dryer sheet and give it a little bit of a wipe with a dryer sheet before you put the powder or before you stamp it. And that'll help with any electricity, static electricity that might be on your paper and attract other particles of the embossing powder in places that you don't want it. So that is a tip that you can use as well. Today we're just going to wing it and hope for the best. Actually, I very rarely use a dryer sheet. I'm kind of a fast stamper at the best of times. So now we have that on there, and I don't know if you can see, it's like very powdery. You don't want to touch it at this point. We're going to heat it, and this just takes a minute, and you're going to see when it changes from this powdery look to a shiny, glossy finish. That's when you know that it's done. So let's watch. This is just going to take a second. It's a little bit noisy, but kind of move it back and forth over your paper to heat it. And when you start seeing it change, which should be soon, there you go. You see the change? Then you're going to just kind of keep moving it along until all of it has changed. And that's really all you do. You don't want to overheat it. I mean, nothing will happen, but that's all that you need to do is kind of heat it until you've got that shiny finish. I want to make sure that I got all of it. Yeah, I did. So right in this section, you can see where my Versamark pad needs to get re-inked. And so I've got kind of a sparse coverage there with my embossing powder, but that's okay. You've seen how to do it now. So now we're going to take this. It says So Grateful. I'm going to adhere it to a piece of Blushing Bride with just some liquid glue here, Tombow glue. And now you'll also remember that I said many times that I'm not a fan of liquid glue because I don't like when it pops out from underneath of your project. So the more that I use it, the more I'm starting to enjoy it. And the reason is because you have a little bit of time to move things around. So if you get it on your project and it's not exactly centered, you can still move it. If you use Stampin' Seal, wherever you put it, it's going to stay unless you rip it up and wreck your paper. So the one thing about liquid glue is you do need to give it a second to adhere. So sometimes what I'll do is once I put it on, in this case it's not a big issue, I'll just put a block over top of it to kind of just weigh it down for literally like 15 seconds to just kind of help it adhere and stick. And if you notice that one of the other things that I found is that I was using too much glue. So that's why it's seeping out. So you really don't need very much. If you can see it on your paper, then you've probably got enough. You don't need it like all, you know, like elementary where you've got it kind of piled up and squeezing out everywhere. You don't need that much glue. It's going to stick. Now, if you notice that it's curling like this, it's from the liquid glue. You can also just take your bone folder and run it over top, and it just helps to kind of even out the glue. All right, I am going to adhere this with dimensionals. Now, the one thing I couldn't decide when I made this card the first time is whether or not I wanted to put ribbon on it. So I'm going to just take a look at it before I stick this down. Now I folded this. This is Night of Navy, just a regular card size base. That's 5.5 by 8.5, folded in half at 4 1/4. And I'm going to just put that on like this. Now this is what I couldn't decide. Maybe you guys have an opinion. Was about tying a ribbon around here. And I'm not sure that silver is the right ribbon. I have this, it's the Simply Elegant trim, and it comes in gold and silver, which I've been using for Saturday for our Stampa Stack. It's a mini Stampa Stack, and then we're going to be using some of, well, I'm going to be using some of this trim for my cards. So what we're going to do on Saturday during our Stampa Stack is actually 4 cards. I'm going to print, or not print out, I'm going to post sort of a list of what you're going to need if you want to stamp along, or if you want to recreate it for yourself after the fact. We will make 4 cards with the, what is it called? The gingerbread, I don't remember. It's the gingerbread suite out of the mini catalog. Gingerbread something else. Frosted gingerbread, I think it's called. And so I'm going to use just the designer series paper, actually. You could use the stamp set and the dies as well, but I'm just going to use the designer series paper. So if you have that on hand, get that ready for Saturday. All right, since we didn't use ribbon, I think we need to use some gems because we just do. So I'm going to pull out some of my silver. And as you can see here for other projects, I've colored them. And we could do the same today to match some of our other colors, but I think I'm going to stick with the silver. And I'm going to just add a few here randomly. I love that they come in different sizes so that you can kind of mix and match them a little bit like that. And there we go. We have our card for today. So, I mean, it wasn't hard. You saw how we did the heat embossing in a matter of, it probably took, what, a minute to do that? So it's absolutely something that you can add to a quick and easy card like we do here at Cards and Coffee without really dedicating too much time. So anywhere that you use your sentiment or your image, you can trade that out for embossing. And it's just going to give you sort of a raised finish on your card, which always looks really elegant and really special for the person that receives it. I think it's just a really easy way to add just that personal touch to your stamping. Now let me tell you a little bit about Saturday before you go. So we do have 4 events during World Card Making Day starting at 3. So at 3 o'clock, I'm going to show you how to do mirror image stamping and reverse die cutting. So that'll be quite fun for you to come and see at 3 o'clock. And that's right here on Facebook Live. At 4 o'clock, I'm going to post a challenge. So it's not a session where we get together, but it's a challenge for you to participate in, and there will be prizes. So it should be really fun. 5 o'clock is our mini Stamp-A-Stack. Like I said, we're going to make 4 cards, 4 easy cards from just 2 sheets of designer series paper. And then at 7 o'clock, we will wrap it up with a Zoom event. For those of you that are interested, it's going to be, what did I call it? Random Challenge Stamp and Craft and Chat. So what that means is I am going to have I'm not even going to know what we're going to do. We're going to have a random challenge of something that we can create and we can all work on together. So it's going to be just casual. It's really just an excuse for us to get together and craft. And if you decide you don't want to do the challenge and you just want to hang out, you can do that too. You can bring your own projects with you as well. So that starts here on Facebook Live Saturday starting at 3 o'clock. You can come to all the sessions or some of the sessions. All of them will be posted for you later with the exception of the Zoom event. I don't like to post Zoom events because other people's faces and conversations are on there. And it's just not comfortable sometimes. People don't feel comfortable, and I don't feel comfortable just being that relaxed and then posting for the general public. So if you want to be involved in that, watch for the Zoom link to be posted as well. Lastly, but not least, well, actually 2 things. 1, tomorrow's mystery stamping. I will be posting the product list this afternoon. I did make the card this weekend and then totally forgot that I needed to share the measurements with you. So that's coming this afternoon. Watch for that. And thirdly, Sale-A-Bration is ending. So like I said, Textures and Frames is a Sale-A-Bration set. There are a number of other things that you get for Sale-A-Bration, and what that means when you shop and spend $60, you get to choose a free item. And that ends September 30th. So that's tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow Sale-A-Bration is over. So if you have seen anything that you want or that you like, now's the time to shop, people. So today, you've got today and tomorrow. If you have any questions or need any assistance with your order, please just reach out. I'm happy to help as always. Thank you for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this card and can replicate it at home and try out the heat embossing and let me know how it goes. Talk to you soon. Happy stamping. Thanks for joining me.